My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Okay, today we have an Islander on loan from Long Island Watch for a review. Now, Mark has started to release Islanders with more original designs, and he's also giving them names in addition to their reference numbers. This is the Southold, but there is also the Bayport, and I was intrigued by both of these new designs and was glad to be able to borrow this one for review. Now, before we get to this review, if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. For price and availability, this watch is available at longislandwatch.com in 5 colorways at a price of $299. So the case is 42 millimeters in diameter by 49 millimeters lug to lug. It's 15 millimeters thick and then has a 22 millimeter lug width opening. Now, size for my 6 3/4 inch wrist, it weighs in at 156 grams. Now, I remember when I reviewed the ISL-117 when the Islander line was fairly new, and the case finishing has improved since then. This case has a really nice broad chamfered polished shoulder with brushing along the tops and sides of the case. The transitions from polish to brushing is very crisp along the sides of the case as well. The lugs have this interesting angled end that is carried across the solid end links. Now, this watch is quite thick, with about 2 millimeters coming from the screw-in caseback and about 1 millimeter coming from the domed sapphire crystal. So while there's no denying this is a thick watch, it wears less thick than the dimensions would suggest. The stock bracelet starts at 22 millimeters at the solid end links before tapering all the way down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. Now, these are negative end links, meaning they don't extend the overall lug-to-lug distance of the watch, and this is a great improvement as this watch is much more wearable on the bracelet if you have smaller wrists. There's decent articulation across the back of the watch and between the links, 2 aspects that play a role in the overall comfort of the bracelet. Now, the 3-link style is all brushed, and the brushing is very consistent with the brushing on the case and the end links. The clasp is a double push deployant with the safety catch and is fully milled with 3 micro positions and signed with the Islander logo. Now, this is a nice small clasp that helps preserve the benefits of that dramatic taper in the bracelet. Finally, sizing is easily accomplished with screw links. Now, these new Islanders are using the freshly designed screw-in caseback, which was a contest that Mark ran, and this was the winning design. The caseback has really deep relief with high polished details against a satin finish, and I think it turned out excellent. This watch is rated for 200 meters of water resistance. No real surprise here, this watch is powered by the Seiko NH35. This is a hacking, hand-winding, 21,600 vibration per hour movement with a 42-hour power reserve and a stated accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds a day. But as you can see, this one is running about +4 to 5 seconds a day in the dial-up position. It also features a quick set date. One nice detail is that the date wheel is color matched to the dial, and the color matching is excellent. And then with the crown up, the watch is gaining about 8 seconds per day. The 7 millimeter screw-down crown is nicely knurled and signed with the Islander logo. With a lack of crown guards, this ample crown makes it easy to wind and operate the watch. The threading and unthreading action is a touch gritty, but nothing like the level of some modern Seikos. And I find that even in Seiko watches, the unthreading and threading action gets smoother over time, so I would definitely expect the same here. The domed sapphire crystal slopes in line with the slope of the bezel, and at its height is about 1 millimeter proud of the bezel. There's also a great application of anti-reflective coating, because despite being a domed sapphire, which I find one of the most reflective of all crystal types and shapes, the dial is super easy to see under this crystal. The 120 click unidirectional bezel has a coin edge, which is easy to grip. The action is snappy and super satisfying to turn. There's about a half click of backplay, but the alignment is very good at 12. The insert is ceramic, and the green color coordinates very nicely with the green of the dial. All of the elements of the bezel are also lumed. The insert is flanked by a high polish ring in the center and high polishing on the outer edge of the bezel, which adds pleasing visual interest to the watch overall. The dial is a green sunburst that transitions to dark green and black at the edge. This effect is amplified by the use of a black chapter ring, which was a great choice. The indices are applied, edged in high polish, and filled with lume. The military hour designations are printed on the dial, which feels like a bit of a nod to the Seiko Monster. The Islander logo resides at 12, with automatic and 200 meters at 6, with the 200 meters in orange to match the second hand. A 6 o'clock date window was used, with the half index below. The date window is framed in white and utilizes that color-matched date wheel. I absolutely love the execution of this date. The symmetry of the dial is preserved by the position, and the gradient effect is preserved by the color match. The hour and minute hands are edged in white, filled with lume and black at the hand stack. The giant arrow hour hand is reminiscent of the monster and or the baby Marine Master that came out a few years ago. The hour hand has a syringe at the end, and while I tend to like minute hands that reach all the way to the very edge of the dial, the length of this one reads correct to me despite not quite reaching the chapter ring. Finally, the second hand has a lollipop counterbalance, and about 3/4 of its length is a beautiful orange which goes excellent with the green of the watch. This handset in combination with the dial makes this watch extremely legible. And no surprise here, Islander watches have killer lume going toe-to-toe with Seiko here, and you have the additional bonus of having that fully loomed bezel. And here is the watch on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. I think those negative end links really help here. And then I think this watch wears slightly smaller than its dimensions would suggest, especially when it comes to how thick it is. And then just for some fun and variety, here it is on a rubber strap. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. Well, I was excited when the Islander line was started, and I have really enjoyed watching it evolve over time. With these 2 new named entries, I feel like we are starting to see more original designs from the brand. Per usual, you're getting most of all of the specs you could ever want, such as sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel, killer lume, etc. One of my cons in the ISL-117 review was that the end links extended the lug to lug of the watch, but here we have negative end links, which is a great improvement. I think Islander watches have always represented a great value, and you have excellent customer service backing them. While you can get the same list of specs for less from a watch off AliExpress, you don't have the same peace of mind as you would when going with a brand like Islander. As for cons, while I love the caseback, it seems really thick, and I'm curious if it could be made thinner in the future, which would help with the overall thickness of this watch. Second, while I love the bezel action, I would like to see if they could get rid of some of the back play in the bezel. Finally, I would love to see a quick release system added to Islander bracelets in the future. For comparables, it's almost impossible for me to review a dive watch at this price range and not recommend the Orient Kamasu. While you don't get a ceramic bezel, that watch can be found for $220. Now for the same price as this Islander, you could get something like the Phoebus Wavemaster, which has similar specs if you like their somewhat unique styling. And then for about $100 more, you could get a 3-hand ceramic Steinhardt, which gets you most of the same specs but with a Swiss movement. That said, this watch is a solid choice at this price point, and I have definitely enjoyed my time with it. So there you have it, the Islander Southold. What do you think about this watch? Let me know in the comments section below. As always, if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you've been watching Just Watches.